What be a pirate's favorite movie?
I don't know. What?
Star Wars.
That's pretty good.
Which droid do pirates like best?
Which one?
R2-D2.
Got it.
Who's a pirate's favorite Gungan?
Oh, I know this one. Jar Jar Binks.
No, he's awful. Lisa be liking the boss nass.
Hello all, I'm Josh, this is Josh Builds Stuff, and I think pirates are cool. But not like real pirates who like stole stuff and killed people, more like the pirates in Pirates of the Caribbean. But not the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, more like the pirates in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disney World. But not the pirates before like the mid-2000s overhaul when they made a whole bunch of changes to make the pirates much more family friendly, like changing it so that it's the women chasing the pirates around the turntables and where they're not literally auctioning off actual people. Those pirates, I think, are cool. Today we are building the LEGO Creator 3-in-1 pirate ship. It contains 1,260 pieces, is suitable for ages 9+, and costs $100 here in the US. My initial thoughts on this set? It's good, and it's definitely worth that $100 because, full disclosure, this is actually my 4th day filming a review video for this set. That's because not only did I build this pirate ship version, I first built the 2 alternate builds that they give you instructions for as well. Because of this longer than usual recording duration, this video may seem to go off the rails a little bit, and may involve a couple of wardrobe changes, and the energy level may be all over the place at times, but I still hope you enjoy it. That being said, let's get started not with the pirate ship, but with the first build, which is that Skull Island. Hi there, it's me. You've caught me in my building cardigan. Usually you don't see this part of the video, but I'm just now starting this build and I thought it would be worth sharing some of my early thoughts. So here's what I'm dealing with right now. A table full of pieces, and I know what you're thinking, didn't LEGO improve their system so that now they give you individually numbered bags and you follow the instructions one by one? Yes, usually, but this is a Creator 3-in-1 set, which is obviously a little different. And so you can only follow that numerical order of bags if you are building one of the sets. In this case, it's the pirate ship set, and that's the set that I want to build last to make that the set that I keep on my shelves, or at least that I keep intact. And so I'm going to build the other 2 sets first, but the instructions for those don't follow bags in a numerical order. And so what I'm left with is a table full of loose pieces, and I am a little overwhelmed, honestly. And this build started off a little weird anyway, because when I first opened the box, some loose pieces fell out, which is obviously not supposed to happen. And at least one bag was torn open, and it was bag 5, and I was like, did someone open this and take some pieces out? And I've heard of people doing that before with the minifigures, but I've got all the minifigures here, and they're just pirates. I don't think they're valuable, so I don't think anything was removed from the set. But I just had to say that this build started off a little weird. I guess I kind of have a plan to sort the pieces. I've got a bunch of Tupperwares. I don't know how well they will serve me, but we will see. I think this build will probably take longer than usual, but let's get started and find out. Can I just say, here's something I don't get. I don't get people who enjoy sorting Lego. I understand it can be somewhat cathartic for some or whatever, but I've just spent like an hour and a half sorting Lego and it's not very fun. And 2 things I don't enjoy about Lego are sorting them or disassembling them. And both of them are involved in building these Creator 3-in-1 sets. I tried sorting by size and then color and then kind of based on piece type, and then I kind of just gave up and I was like, here's some brown pieces and there's some colorful pieces and here's little bins of some slightly smaller pieces, and now I'm just gonna start by building a Lego monkey and we'll see how it goes from there. How's it going? At this point you may be asking. It's fine. Christopher Walken I haven't built a Lego set like this in quite some time, but if you think about it, this is the way that Legos always were when we were kids, at least when I was a kid. They were no labeled bags by number. This was like hard mode, where you would just have to have all of the Legos at your dining room table spread across the whole thing, and you couldn't have a normal family meal for weeks at a time, much to the chagrin of your mother. But back then, if you were a kid, you could just get bored of the build and walk away and make your dad finish the build for you, much to the chagrin of your father. Or not, he finally got a few minutes of solace away from you screaming children. Nah, it wasn't that bad. We were a good, comfortable family. But my headphones died partway through the build, and those are kind of, I guess, my last strand on which to hold onto to keep me sane while building Legos, and so I've just kind of been sitting around building with nothing but my thoughts to entertain me, which is a dangerous pastime, it's true. But what I'm trying to say is that building Legos in this kind of old school fashion is tiring, but we're gonna push through it, and the next time I say something on camera will hopefully be when I've completed the first of these 3 builds, only to then take it apart, build another one, take that apart, and then build the third of the 3-in-1 sets. So let's get back to it. Well, we've done it. We have finished the first of 3 builds in this 3-in-1 set, and it has taken a lot longer than I expected. It is now 11:40 in the evening, so this took over 3 hours, 3.5 some hours to build this set, which is 1,200 pieces total, but clearly I did not use anywhere near all of the pieces to build this set. So forgive me for the extra pieces still lying about, but the next step in this build is to take this apart and then rebuild it into the second of 3 builds in this 3-in-1 set, which I'm very much looking forward to. If you can't sense the sarcasm in my voice, I'm not, but I'll give a little more comprehensive thoughts on this first of 3 builds tomorrow, because it's very late. But through the magic of editing, those opinions will come to you right now. So what do we think about this Skull Island build? I think it's okay. I kind of expected this to be my least favorite of the 3 potential builds, and so that's partially why I built it first. I think it looks good. I like the little mechanics that are in it. I like the little brick-built monkey in the palm tree, but overall, I think some of the pieces feel a little out of place, a little randomly placed, which is understandable because I don't believe that this was the build that the LEGO designers had in mind originally when designing this 3-in-1 set. I will say that I like these 2 little accessory ships. I like having a rowboat that's completely brick-built. I'm probably going to say that about a lot of the builds in this, but I like that it's all brick-built. This isn't like a molded boat piece. I also like this little raft piece. It kind of reminds me of the little raft boats that you can take across the rivers of America to Tom Sawyer Island at Disney World or Disneyland, and so anything that gives me some nostalgia for Disney World always gets a good grade in my book, even though that has absolutely nothing to do with the pirates in this set. All that being said, the next step in this build is to disassemble this entire treasure island and the vehicles along with it in order to build the next in this 3-in-1 set, which I believe is the cool looking little pirate cottage thing. So let's get to that right now. So we have now completed the first of 2 disassemblies in this build, and it went a little faster than I thought, though I still do not enjoy that process. This little guy goes a long way in that process. The rest of these guys didn't actually play that large of a part. It's one of those diminishing returns situations. 9 women can't deliver a baby in 1 month, or whatever that saying is like O to the N versus N to the O. But anyway, we are now set up and sorted to start that second of 3 builds in this set, which is that cool little pirate cottage thing, so let's get to it. So we have finally finished the second of 3 builds in this 3-in-1 set. This is the Pirates Tavern build, I'm going to call it. And as I assumed, I like this build and this version of this set slightly more than I like the Skull Island, which we built first. But I assume I'm still going to like the pirate ship that we're going to build next slightly more than this build. So I think I'm building these in the correct order. However, for me, it is once again nearing midnight, which means this is the second day of this build, and we have at least one more day worth of building in this set. So if you are looking for a nice long build that you can build and unbuild and build and unbuild and build at least once more, then this may be a set for you. But that being said, I will give some slightly more coherent thoughts on this version of this tavern in the light of day tomorrow, which for you all will be right now. For me, that will be a day for now, so I will see you all and myself in a few seconds. Here we are in the bright morning light of the following day, or rather at 8 p.m. at night the following day, but I wanted to give some brief thoughts on this Pirates Tavern or cottage looking building, and I've got to say, this does definitely rank second for me out of the 2 builds that we've done so far, and I imagine it will remain in that place. Once again, we did not use anywhere near all of the pieces that came with this set, but I do think that this build is a little more substantial and a little bit better detailed than the Skull Island that we built first. We also get a couple more brick-built animals that I like. We get this little horse that's pulling a carriage that again integrates that pirate's chest into it. We also get a great-looking little parrot who sits atop the roof of this building. Speaking of this building, I really like the overall aesthetic. There are some great little details, a little crane, the little keg barrel sign that's hanging out front. It's got a water wheel on the side of it, which reminds me of, you guessed it, the Harper's Mill at Walt Disney World on Tom Sawyer's Island. And so that's 2 Tom Sawyer's Island references that we get out of 1 Lego set. So in my book, this is an automatic win. I think LEGO did a great job with all the details on this building, from the vines growing down the side of it to the cool little crow's nest mast thing on top, which reminds me of Mary Poppins or Pete's Dragon for some reason. Was there like a building with something like that on it in Pete's Dragon? I don't remember. There is also a decently modeled interior on this build. On the bottom floor, you've got a little bar area with at least 1 booth where you can sit. There are also some stairs which lead upstairs where there are a couple of beds there, making this whole building feel very homey. LEGO also reused one of the pistols and the treasure map as wall art on this set, which I think kind of accentuates the best part of the 3-in-1 sets, is that you can kind of see the same pieces getting used in different ways in these different builds. Speaking of different builds, it is now time to endure one last disassembly of this set and rebuild it into what I think is the ultimate version of this set, that great looking pirate ship. So let's do that right now. So we have finished the second of our 2 disassemblies for this set, and it really wasn't that bad. Only took about an hour overall, though you probably could have done it faster if you had any depth perception or the use of a second hand, but unfortunately things just haven't been the same since that shark attack. But if I'm being honest, the disassembly and subsequent sorting process that we've just gone through is somewhat cathartic, but even with the use of a brick separator, I'm still feeling a bit of pain in my fingernails. I actually had a bit of a traumatic experience with a fingernail. When I was in 9th grade, for some reason I wanted to see how long I could grow a single fingernail if I just left it alone for a long period of time. But when I was in my social studies class, I was like the new kid at a new school, and the teacher called me outside the classroom one day, and he looked me in the eyes and he said, "Josh, do you do drugs?" And I was like, "What? No. I didn't then and I don't now," and I didn't really understand the connection between a long fingernail and drugs, but having looked it up on the internet, apparently that is a sign of a drug user. So naturally I went home and cut my nails that day and have been pretty meticulous about doing so ever since then. That's a true story. Ask my friend Mike Barrington. He loves that story. Anyway, let's build a pirate ship. We've done it, y'all. It is day 4 of this build. Yes, I could not even finish this final build in one build session. But I've got to say that my assumptions were correct, and I do very much like this pirate ship build more than either of the previous builds that we've looked at. Now, for comparison, this ship is obviously not as detailed as something like the Pirates of Barracuda Bay Black Seas Barracuda ship that we built fairly recently, but unfortunately due to recently moving, this ship is not in a great condition to compare. However, you can see that this ship is much larger than this ship, which is not very surprising because of the price difference, among other things. A few things I like about this ship. The brick-built sails, those are super cool instead of cloth sails with a bunch of strings that you have to rig together. The cool pirate emblem on the front is really neat. They actually managed to squeeze a couple of fun little details into this set. There is a captain's quarters on the interior. It's a little smaller, a little harder to get to than some other pirate ships, but I still like that it's included. I like that even on this little rear pirate flag on the back of the ship, out of like 3 little pieces, they still managed to make a little skull shape, which is very neat. I think this rear section of the ship, this captain's quarters we'll call it, is probably the most detailed section, but the rest of the ship also looks pretty nice. There is a tiny interior section, but really it's just enough room to squeeze in a couple of cannons and throw a skeleton, which is where I put mine. The overall size and weight of the ship feels pretty good. It feels pretty sturdy overall, even though the entire hull section was also brick built, which is something I really like about these 3-in-1 sets, is that LEGO is kind of forced to make everything brick built, including a couple of more animals. We've got this cool looking brick built little shark guy who I think is super great looking. There's also a little brick-built blue jay, I will call it, another little bird. Maybe it's a parrot because it's a pirate set. But there's another bird that he is currently perched on the masts here. And not a creature per se, but the front of the ship here is adorned with a mermaid statue. I will assume it's not a real mermaid. Fun fact about mermaids, did you know that in all likelihood, actual mermaid rumors originated from the manatee or the dugong? Yes, dugongs, like the Pokemon. In all likelihood, that was really what pirates were encountering while out at sea, probably experiencing some level of scurvy or other mental anguish, and they probably mistook manatees or dugongs for mermaids. The funny thing about dugongs and manatees is that they are placed in the order Sirenia in the Linnaean classification of animals, which is funny because that's where the word siren actually derives from, which is what we call mermaids. So when we're saying a mermaid is a siren, we're most likely literally saying that they are a dugong. You can learn that and other fun seafaring facts in my favorite book, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Like, did you know that seashells can be left-handed? And when Professor Aronow in this book found a left-handed shell, he gave a conchological yell, which I think is a pretty underrated pun in the literary world. But getting back to this pirate ship, I really don't have much negative to say about this set. Then again, I have spent the past 4 days with this set, so maybe I'm developing whatever that syndrome is, Stockholm Syndrome, where you fall in love with the person that kidnapped you or whatever. I'm experiencing that, but with this LEGO set. So overall, it's a fun build. I think it's a good set, and you will definitely get your money's worth if you build the alternate builds that are included with this set, because that will take a bit of time. Boy, wasn't that a doozy. I hope you enjoyed that video. One last thing before we go. We are tantalizingly close to 1,000 subscribers, and when we get there, I want to do a Q&A video, so leave me your questions in the comments below. If there's anything you're wondering about me or this place or the stormtrooper behind me, feel free to ask in the comments or on my Twitter or Instagram, both of which links can be found in the description below. And who knows, maybe when we get there we'll do some kind of fun giveaways or something like that. I have shown in my last room tour video that I am literally overflowing with LEGO, and so maybe I will use 1,000 subscribers as an opportunity to get rid of some of that and give it to you guys. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. How about Darth Vader?
The Death Star.
Dengar.
Carbonite.
Admiral Akbar.
The Empire Strike Back.
II-G88.
Return of the Jedi Captain.
Unlimited power.
I think we've got enough.
Yeah, I think we're good.